There lived a hobbit in a hole under the ground. This is how John Ronald Reuel Tolkien's first book, The Hobbit, or There and Back Again, which was released in 1937, begins. Shortly after publication, the work received very favorable reviews from readers. To this day, the writer's work belongs to the real classics of children's literature. The book is revered not only by children, but also by adults of any generation. Bilbo's adventure couldn't just end. People wanted to continue. Therefore, on occasion Tolkien in 1954 releases the trilogy, The Lord of the Rings. It was this collection that had the greatest influence on the development of fantasy and geek culture. People liked the journey of the Fellowship of the Ring so much that after the release of Peter Jackson's films, many began to cosplay their favorite characters, arrange themed weddings, and even come 1,000 kilometers to New Zealand to visit the real scenery of the Green Shire for at least a minute. In this video, we take a look behind the scenes and find out. How was Lord of the Rings filmed? This is Movie Secrets, Issue 2. Release 1 work on the trilogy began in October 1999 and continued for 15 months. The script was rewritten several times throughout the shooting. Somewhere they tried to save money, and somewhere they tried to add more interesting moves. In general, they tried to shrink in screen time and make the picture clear to everyone. Initially, Jackson planned to fit the book into 2 films, but then he realized that the right decision would be to film 3 books at once. To do this, he and his team make a digital storyboard and invite actors to voice future scenes. A kind of comic was created, to which trial music and all kinds of environmental details were added. Based on these sketches, mock-ups of future scenery were made. The most difficult was the elven city of Lorien. Remember this scene? All trees are not real. They were created from polystyrene. The diameter reached 1.5 m. All the architectural structures on the branches, leaves, tiles, forged window decorations, steps, were created for months. As the decorators say, it was a truly hellish job since each sheet had to be painted by hand. The Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, built a separate town, Hobbiton. Hundreds of workers and dozens of gardeners took part in the work. In this frame, it seems to us that the wizard is much larger than the Hobbit, but this is not so. He sits closer to the camera, and Bilbo Ian Holm himself is located at a distance of 2 to 3 meters from him. The tables are made in the form of a sectional figure, i.e. stretched along the z-axis. Moreover, they move in proportion to the camera angle. Thus, the picture looks more voluminous. Even mugs and plates vary in size. Despite the perspective, some scenes could not be erased with an illusion, so I had to use either chroma key or doubles, children or dwarfs. The moment when Bilbo takes the staff and Gandalf's hat is created purely by visual effects. 2 actors were filmed separately from each other. In post-production, the frames were combined and the result was a common frame. For special moments, they made mock-ups of hands, like in this scene. By the way, 2 interesting points can be seen in Bilbo's house. When Ian McKellen hits his head on the ceiling, this is not a scenario move but an accident. Peter Jackson liked this moment so much that he decided not to reshoot the shot. In Bilbo's house, you can see 2 portraits above the fireplace. This is none other than the director himself with his wife. By the way, this cameo does not end there. In all films, he appears for a second in frames, and in 1, and in 2, and in 3 parts. Also, his children also participated in the filming process. Also throughout the trilogy, Fran's wife was also involved in the filming process. When she was ill, he recorded her voice on the recorder. This sound was processed and the awesome cry of the Nazgul turned out. Do you remember how the hobbits ran into the prancing pony Inn? Compared to the rest, they are quite small, and all because the whole crowd walks on stilts. The perspective effect works again. For halfling actors, 1,800 pairs of latex feet and ears were specially made. The fact is that the material quickly wore out and required immediate replacement. The working day of the hobbits began at 5 a.m. Before filming began, the actors had to stand in one place for at least an hour and a half while their legs were glued. John Rhys Davies, Gimli, had the hardest time, who had a terrible allergy to makeup. Nevertheless, the actor did not give up and continued to work. On the set, there were no injuries. And Viggo Mortensen had his central incisor chipped off. The actor finished the scene, and then, sweaty, in dirty clothes and overweight weapons, he came to the dentistry, where he was mistaken for a home. And before they filmed the scene in Moria, the actor badly injured his face while surfing, therefore, in order to hide the defect of his face, he was filmed from the side. If you're going to revise part 1, pay attention. To a heap of everything, the actor also broke 2 toes when he hit the head of an orc. This scream scared the entire film crew. However, Jackson decided not to cut this moment. Do you want to be surprised? Remember when Frodo loses the ring in the snow, and when he finds it they show this angle? This ring weighed 3 kilograms and it was huge. Illusion here. In the future, after all the filming, Peter Jackson will take it for himself, and other standard copies will be taken by Elijah Wood, Liv Tyler, Andy Serkis, John Rhys-Davies and Viggo Mortensen. It sometimes happened that the scenery was mounted in the most unusual places. For example, the gates of Moria were in a car park, since there was nowhere else to create an imitation of a lake. The mountain locations were actually in the mountains, so the whole working group got to the filming location by helicopters. Except for one, Sean Bean, who is terribly afraid of heights. In addition to the Shire, another town was built, Edoras, the capital of Rohan. They erected wooden houses, decorated the streets with flags, added entourage. In other words, they created a full-fledged community. This moment is particularly cool. When Eowyn comes out of the main hall into the street, a gust of wind rips off the flag and takes it away. In fact, this happened by accident, but the frame turned out to be more relevant than ever because the plucked flag symbolizes the fall of the Empire. Clothing, weapons and jewelry were created by professionals in their field. Jewelers, glassblowers, carpenters and blacksmiths worked on the site. The latter can be seen in the frame when Aragorn's sword is being created. Viggo Mortensen had the only real weapon, so extras were afraid of him during the battles. Some panoramic shots are made by a combination of layout plus graphics. For more battle scenes, digitized creature models and capture motion capture were used. About 14,000 textures were uploaded to create Barlog. The hardest part was the fire. The Lord of the Rings trilogy has received the most Oscar nominations, with 30. For the entire time of filming, 900 kilometers of film was spent, used 48,000 all kinds of swords, axes and other armor, 20,600 actors were involved in various mass scenes, 2,400 personnel, makeup, editing, special effects, sound, etc. 250 horses were involved in one of the scenes. 30 actors memorized non-existent languages and dialects. It took 3 film crews to create the films, which simultaneously filmed in different places. This greatly reduced the time for the entire job. That's how much effort it took to create a trilogy. The film is still amazing. It can be reviewed many times. First of all, it is about true friendship and how it is necessary to unite in order to win. That's all for today. If you liked the story, then be sure to support it with a like and a subscription to the channel. Waiting for release comments. See you very soon.